Good evening, Marlene. Mr. Clucks, thanks for joining us this evening. Marlene, thanks for joining us this evening. How's everyone doing this evening? Thanks for joining the show. Yeah, so this is the Know Your Right show, and I'm your host, Terris Strength. This is a product of WBNN. This is the Know Your Right show, and I'm your host, Terris Strength, on air now from Lagos, Nigeria. Call in, family, 516-453-9133. Press 1 to join the conversation. And of course, this is brought to you by Ngozi Time Multimedia. Thanks for joining us this evening, family. Thanks for joining us. We have a very interesting show tonight, one that I am honored to present. Yes, Joy. Mr. Mayberry, thanks for joining us tonight. Thanks for joining us. So tonight, we have a very, very unique guest. We're going to probably do another show with them in November for Thanksgiving. So the topic tonight is Spirituality, a New Perspective interview with Lakota Jeremiah Moreno this evening, family. Yes, the number is 516-ERIC-453-9133. Press 1 to join the conversation. Mr. Reed, thanks for joining us this evening. Thanks for joining us. Call in. Again, 516-453-9133. Press 1 to join the conversation. And of course, this is brought to you by Ngozi Time Multimedia. So family, we have an interesting show tonight. We have a Native American. We're going to talk tonight about the Lakota Native American Indian tonight. We want to discuss their history, their culture, and challenges due to oppression tonight, family. So call in. I want to hear your conversations. Call in to ask your questions. Thanks for everyone who's joining us. Mr. Mayberry, write that down one more time. Okay, no problem. 516-453-9133. Press 1 to join the conversation. Got it? Miss Carmen, thanks for joining us this evening. Again, Kev, Joy, thanks for joining us this evening. For those who are writing it down, we'll be logging on at around 9:30. 516-453-9133. And again, press 1 to join the conversation. So make sure you call in, family. Hopefully they won't shut me down on Facebook Live, but if they do, we just move over to Blog Talk and keep it going. Just keep it going. Thanks, Eric. Thanks for joining us this evening. It's a special night. Thanks for joining us. Yes. Mr. Moreno, yes. Okay, great. Yeah, so we're looking forward to having this conversation tonight. Mr. Moreno has a lot to say. He's going to educate us tonight on what's really going on. And I'm looking forward to it. So call in, family. Again, 516-453-9133. Press 1 to join the conversation. Of course, this is brought to you by Ngozi Time Multimedia. So the topic tonight is Spirituality, a New Perspective interview with Lakota Jeremiah Moreno. He's here on air tonight, family. I am honored and privileged to get this interview with this outstanding young man. So we're gonna talk about some things tonight. We're gonna talk about it tonight. We're going to discuss their history, a little bit of culture, and we're gonna talk about the challenges due to oppression. We're going to also talk, why are they really on those reservations? And how can we help? And we want to know what really happened at the massacre of Wounded Knee. So we're going to get into some of this tonight, family. You know how we do on the Know Your Right show. So we're going to get in tonight. This show is about finding out all metaphysical tools and disciplines. We're going to talk about situations and perspective that can help us to evolve. When you oppress one of us, you oppress all of us. So that's why these shows are so important, to get us out of our own heads and to see that we aren't the only one down here with serious challenges. And sometime in helping others, we help ourselves. So we must understand that we are all one, family. So thanks for joining in tonight. So we're gonna get moving. We'll be locking in at around 9:24, 9:23. We're gonna transition to Blog Talk and get this show started. So let's talk a little bit about Mr. Moreno a little bit. So he sent me his bio. So I'm gonna read his bio a little bit. So he says, I am a Lakota language teacher for Central High School and Rapid City area schools located in the Sacred Black Hills, the homelands of the Oseti Sakowin. And I've been in this position since August 2021, and I love it. As far back as I could remember, I struggled with mainstream systems of education. It was during my elementary years that was the most difficult for me. I was the only Indian in a school of 400 students. Fortunately, being raised by a Lakota matriarch, my grandmother, Margaret Redshirt, and her daughter, who is my mother, Gracie Redshirt, Tayam, Lakota values were instilled in me at a very young age. Both encouraged and supported me through those difficult times. When other kids would bully me because of my long braids, I was reminded of my Lakota identity and how important it is to know who I am and where I come from. As an adolescent, I found myself struggling again, which had to do with getting in with the wrong crowds, not feeling confident or supported in the learning environment I was in, and experiencing normal adolescent growing pains and changes. I was pushed out of school. I had some problems with drugs and alcohol, and finally ended up going to court because of my actions. I was fast approaching 18 years old, and Mom and Grandma both thought I needed more structure. During a family meeting, I was given two choices that Mom and Grandma thought would help me in my transition into manhood. Either go to the military or go live with Uncle Wilmer Stampede Mesteth. Not knowing what I should do, I asked Mom what she would do. She told me that Stampede knows the Lakota ways and that I would benefit from his knowledge. She had already talked to him about it as I had also had a dream that I was on Hanblasia, hope I pronounced that correctly, a vision quest. This was of extreme importance and couldn't have come at a better time. It is a rite of passage ceremony and something that could guide me to the path I needed. Upon arriving at Stampede's house, he gave me two simple rules. The first was that I would attend Oglala Lakota College, and the second to get a job. On the following Monday, after I had arrived, Uncle Wilmer took me to the Pine Ridge College Center where I registered for fall classes. On Tuesday, I had an interview for a part-time substitute teacher at Lone Man Elementary School. I can humbly and proudly say that I have been drug and alcohol free for 18 years. I received my Lakota language certificate to teach the Lakota language, and I found purpose in my life. Thanks for joining us, Kyle. Thanks for joining us this evening. I am certain that many more doors will open for me because of my commitment to living a healthy lifestyle, and through my Lakota ways and values, I have gained so much wisdom and healing. And that was written by Jeremiah Moreno, who we're going to interview tonight, family. So call in, family, tonight. Call in 516-453-9133. Press 1 to join the conversations. And of course, this is brought to you by Ngozi Time Multimedia. So there you have it. So that's his bio a little bit. Mr. Jeremiah Moreno, he's become a Lakota educator, and I am honored. I am honored to have him on this show. That's right, Kyle. All right now. Mr. Kyle Jones. All right. Thanks for joining us this evening. So we're going to have a good time tonight. We're going to talk to him. Please call in, ask your questions. We're in August now. We'll be heading down to the holidays. I'm going to have them back on, and a medicine man. We're going to have some fun in November talking about this from their perspective. And that's what this show is about. Seeing others' perspective so that we can aid each other in our own healing and moving towards expansion. So thanks for joining us, family. Thanks for joining us. So tonight, spirituality, a new perspective, interview with Mr. Jeremiah Moreno this evening. So yes, so we're going to have a good time. We're going to talk tonight about the Lakota family. We want to discuss their history, culture, and challenges due to oppression. And we're going to have a good time tonight. All right, family. All right. So we're going to get some questions answered. Questions I know I've had. Why are they really on those reservations? And how can we help? And what really happened at the massacre of Wounded Knee? So we're going to talk about that tonight, family. You know, sometimes we get stuck in our own issues and all our challenges and problems. And sometimes our healing can come from helping someone else to heal. So call in tonight, family. Call in. 516-453-9133. Press 1 to join the conversation. And of course, this is brought to you by Ngozi Time Multimedia. So we've seen some outstanding situations happen within the last couple years with the riots going on and everything. We've seen name changes. The Washington Redskins and a lot of sports teams have changed their names. They were using Native American names as sports banners, and we've seen those things change. We've seen statues go down. So I can say that this world is beginning to figure some things out. You know, we're trying to become more aware, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. It's long overdue, and that's a good thing. So we must continue to move towards expansion. So tonight we're gonna ask him some questions and get his perspective. I want you guys to call in with your questions, questions you may have for him to get some clarity on some things, and let's find out what's going on with these reservations really and what they're really about. So I'm honored to have Mr. Jeremiah Moreno on tonight and see what he has to say. So this is Spirituality, a New Perspective interview with Lakota Jeremiah Moreno tonight. Call in, family. 516-453-9133. Press 1 to join the conversation. All right, family. So we'll be logging in about 6 minutes. About 6 minutes we'll be logging in to Blog Talk and get this party started. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us, Eric, Tawana, Mo, Kyle, Marlene. And there's another guy. I didn't scroll down. Thanks for joining. If there's anyone else out there that I've missed, thanks for joining the show. I really appreciate you for joining the show. And please call in. I would love to hear your comments. You can get in contact with me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'm on all of it. So just log in on Terris Strength. For anyone out there who wants to log on to Facebook Live, again, just go on to Terris Strength. You can log on to the show, Facebook Live. Also, you can log on Blog Talk at 9:30. You just call in and press 1 to join the conversation. But you can dial in, family, 516-453-9133. And of course, you press 1 to join the conversation. All right. So I've been wanting to do this show. We'll be taking it in about 6 minutes. All right, family. So yeah. So we're going to talk about this tonight. We talk about many things on this show, many metaphysical tools, and we've had it all on this show. Regression therapists, mediums, psychics, numerologists, sidereal astrologists. We've done it all on the Know Your Right show. And of course, we're still in August, my 3-year anniversary. So we haven't left August yet, but we're almost out of it. And so now we're heading into the fall months, family. So we got to keep this shit moving. We got to keep learning, keep loving each other, understanding that we are all one, and keep evolving and moving towards wholeness. So call in, family. This is the Know Your Right show, and I'm your host, Terris Strength. Come on now. Yeah. Mr. Jeremiah Moreno tonight, family. Lakota Jeremiah Moreno tonight. Yeah. That's right. Thanks for joining us, Eric, Tawana, Mo, Kevin, Kyle, and anybody else out there that I can't see. Thanks for joining the show. You're my honored guest tonight. Please call in. Let me hear your comments. I want to hear what you're thinking. 516-453-9133. Press 1 to join the conversation. And of course, this is brought to you by Ngozi Time Multimedia. Come on, family. Yeah. Yes. Come and walk with us as we move towards wholeness. Let's all strive to be more loving in our relations. All have challenges, right? So let's learn more about how to navigate them. Yeah. Yeah, family. Come on now. Interview tonight with Mr. Jeremiah Moreno this evening. Talk about undeserved oppression right in front of us. We must move towards acceptance, family. Yes. Yes. So we'll be transitioning in a couple minutes. Yeah. Get this show started. Let's see what Mr. Moreno was talking about. But call in, family, 415-516-453-9133. Press 1 to join the conversation, family. Call in. Yeah. 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 Yep. Yes, family. This is the Know Your Right show, and I'm your host, Terris Strength. Thanks for joining us this evening, family. Yeah. You've been doing it for 3 years now. I appreciate you. I hope you've learned something. We're going to keep pushing the envelope a little bit here, family. So thanks for joining us, but hold on. Yes. Yes. Let's move towards wholeness. Tell someone you love them today. Yes. Yes, family. Let's transition. Good, Mr. Moreno. Yes. All right, family, we be transitioning in 3 minutes. Get this show started. I can't wait.
Blog Talk Radio. At Olive Garden, nobody loves Alfredo quite like we do. We make it from scratch using simple ingredients like garlic, butter, cream, and fresh Parmesan. So you can enjoy it poured, twirled, or dipped. From that irresistible first taste to the final creamy bite. With our one-of-a-kind Alfredo, the possibilities are endless. Olive Garden, we're all family here.
This is Dr. Chinchilla Donesia, the Commissioner of WBNN. For those of you that have been having trouble tuning into WBNN's programming due to phone service provider issues with Metro, T-Mobile, or Cricket, I have a solution for you. Go to the Google Play Store or the Apple Play Store, download the Text Now app onto your cell phone, choose the phone number, and then you will be able to tune into all of WBNN's programming. I am the Honorable Dr. Chinchilla J.
When you take to me time, and in market you sell at the buyer. Make my body feel on time. If I ask you that you could deny it. Lie. No baby smart, but to me I'm too wise. And she said that me baby not too side. Everybody knows that some the girl them controller. Anywhere me get, the one the girl them come over. You play Russian roulette below that revolver. And if you give your girl, be a lover.
Mr. Braxton. I'm here. How you doing? My friend.
Do you run down now? You want to be? Baby, yes, and let me be your client.
Thanks for joining us, Desiree.
When you take
Peace.
to me time.
Thanks for joining the show.
And in market you sell at the buyer. Make my body feel on time.
Yes. All right, brother.
You know you could deny it. But I know say you did do me side. My baby smart, but to me I'm too wise.
Yes, thank you.
And she did ask me, baby, not too side. Everybody knows some the girl them controller. Anywhere we get, the one the girl them come over. The famous Russian roulette below that revolver. And if you see her now, we go call it a lover. I need it.
I like that, brother. This is a product of WBNN. This is Know Your Rights, and I'm your host, Terris Strength, on air now from Lagos, Nigeria. Call in family 516-453-9133. Press 1 to join the conversation, and of course, this is brought to you by Ngozi Time Multimedia. Before I begin, I would like to thank Brother Oladeli and the O&E Dynasty family for giving me the opportunity to share my story and my perspective. The topic this evening is spirituality, a new perspective. Interview with Lakota Jeremiah Moreno. I'm going to read a kind of a poem. It's called The Lakota Mother's Prayer. And I hope I'm pronouncing these words correctly. Wana hen gle, the Lakota call me. Wana hen gle, my given name. He who happens now, the drumbeat has found me, reaching into this moment beyond glory and fame. As Wana hen gle, my spirit has wandered. As Wana hen gle, my ancestors call. The questions dissolve as the great mystery beckons, the campfire eternal, the chanting enthralls. Wana hen gle, my mother calls proudly. Your horse is now waiting, your shield fixed with bone. Off into the prairie you must ride in the twilight. The people will dance until their sons return home. Wana Hengle, you must now happen quickly. The buffalo ravaged, starvation cries loud. Your eyes to look upon the great Wakan Tonka, whose absence has shamed us, who once were so proud. As the great Tasanka Witko, who traveled before you, you must call for your horse to come out of the lake. Great Mother River and Great Mountain Father, to your will they entrust. Great Mother River and Great Mountain Father, to your will they entrust what the people forsake. Your spirit must suffer, the baby still cry, the cold through the tent flaps, all future in blight. The hawk comes to guide you as you pass through the darkness. The drums of your feathers beat into the night. You will ride to the top of the pass of the bears. Ask the grizzly, our brother, where the demon still hides. Where it lives, you must kill it for this time and always, before it steals our last dream, keeping spirits alive. The white horse will take you from the lake to the mountain, and the stallion will sprout wings with his hooves fiery hot. You will trample this demon and burn him before you, the smoke within signal of what he is not. Wana Hengle, my son, the time is for going. Your journey awaits, past futures on hold. The medicine woman is locked deep inside you. Your people die waiting, the young and the old. All right, family. I want to thank everyone for joining in on the show this evening. I'm very, very excited to have our honored guests. We some of us or many of us are aware of what's been going on with the Native American community all over the world. And tonight we have a Lakota, one from the Lakota tribe, Mr. Jeremiah Moreno. I'm honored, very, very honored to have him on tonight, to ask him some questions, to get the story from his perspective in terms of what's going on, and maybe we can all move towards healing and wholeness, and we can assist this brother. So, Mr. Moreno, are you there?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thanks
Can
for.
you hear me okay?
Yes. Thanks for joining us. I can hear you. I can hear you just fine. So I want to get started. I'm extremely honored to have you on tonight, to have you on Blog Talk on the Know Your Right show, and I want to ask you a couple of questions. So let's get started. Why don't we? We have some great music coming on tonight. So tell me a little about yourself. Describe who you are and what is it that you do exactly.
Okay, first and foremost, I'm a father and a husband. Second, in order to be that in my Lakota way, in order to support my family, I have to have a job. So in this Western American society, we're all kind of assimilated to that. So I'm a teacher. I teach high school students at Central High School in Rapid City, South Dakota, located in the Black Hills, a sacred place to our people. And I teach at Central High School, which is a predominantly Lakota or Ocheti Shakoni descendants. There's 1,600 Ocheti Shakoni students of Ocheti Shakoni descent, and they are. I have about 111 high school students, predominantly Ocheti Shakoni, and they teach Lakota language, Lakota language 1 and Lakota language 2 in a public high school. Also, my people come third. So my people, in order to support my people, I have a strict, disciplined, and so I participate in our spirituality, and I advocate for spiritual Lakota ways. The Lakota way of life, as it's known to the world. And I also teach at our college, or we have our own college here in the Black Hills and Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. It's called Oglala Lakota College. And it's an accredited college, same accreditations as Harvard and Yale. And our college is the only tribal college right now that's accredited here in the United States.
Oh, wow.
Same accreditations as universities. I also I teach traditional Lakota art there, and I also teach Lakota language at the University of Colorado at Denver. This is the first year that's happened at that level. So, but at our community university, our Oglala Lakota College, we have language courses all the way up to language 4, I believe, and we can take high school students through our college program and get them certified to teach in the state. And we have a really extensive teaching program that we can teach Lakota students, get them certified to teach, and put them right back into our reservation schools. And so that's kind of my route that I took. We also have a extensive nursing program. We also have they can come to our school and learn a trade: carpentry, plumbing, electricity, mechanic, and an 8-week program during the summertime. At Piawachoni, our headquarters, that's also where we have our archives. We have a museum of our repatriated artifacts that our repatriation officers and our historians went all over this world to museums that came to our reservation and our territory and stole a lot of our artifacts and put them in museums. And our repatriation officers did diligent work through the early 2000s and 2010s, and we brought back thousands of were put in museums, and so we're very proud of that. We also got seeds too that were over 2,000 years old. Wow. And we were able to plant some of these seeds and bring back some of our traditional foods. And one of them is the Lakota squash, which was extinct all the way up until 2010. Wow. And it's back, so something we're very proud of. And we have numerous Lakota community grassroots programs that came out of our Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. Makoche is one of them that they have an interesting program where they teach our community members how to garden and use those skills to make their own garden to sell their produce to surrounding supermarkets. And there's Thunder Valley. They have a community of community-built homes that are completely self-sustainable, and even their insulation is made of hemp. So we also have programs in the city, in Rapid City. A lot of our people we have a vaccination land. We have programs that are in Rapid City as well. We have Wamblista o Aye Luta, which helps with healing. We have, and I work with all of these programs.
Okay, so you work with many programs.
I don't know where you want me to stop.
No,
I could go on and on.
we have more questions, so we can break it right there. But I see that you're extremely involved with helping to maintain Lakota culture and help bring it all back. I want to ask you, could you please describe the meaning of Oseti Sakowin? Like, what does that mean?
Oseti Sakowin, yes. Okay, so Ocheti Shakoni is what the United States and the Americans call the Sioux Nation. We're reclaiming that as a people. And what Ocheti Shakoni means is the 7 council fires.
Mm-hmm.
So there's 7 council fires, and it was spread out through a vast territory, all through Minnesota, the Great Lakes area, all the way down into North Dakota, South Dakota, and parts of even Kansas, Nebraska, and Colorado, and Wyoming, and even parts of Montana and Canada. And this is something that this movement of reclaiming our name. It's to the English speaker, it's known as the Sioux. We're known as the Sioux.
Right.
To us as people, we refer to ourselves as Ocheti Shakoni. And then Lakota is kind of like the philosophy, the way of life, the spirituality aspect, and the language.
Okay, got you. All right, so I wanted to ask you this, and we can just talk about this briefly because hopefully we're going to do this again in the month of November. But I want you to give the audience a taste. So, how does the Lakota reconcile Thanksgiving? Just briefly. How do you guys reconcile Thanksgiving?
As a people, we're pretty much assimilated to the Thanksgiving aspect of this country, right? But there's a movement right now where we're reclaiming that time as ours. See, in Lakota way, Lakota philosophy, Lakota spirituality, we have solstice and equinox celebrations, and we celebrated the changing of the seasons, and we celebrated these extensively with socials, society, dance, food, and ceremony. And this is it's really an exciting time because not only is it happening on our own reservation where our own relatives have just completely disengaged celebrating Thanksgiving, where they don't even celebrate a lot of the holidays, the American Western society announced holidays. They've completely reclaimed all of those, and we're celebrating them because this is what happened. So Christianity and Catholicism, it came through all indigenous tribes of this world, really, and they tried to assimilate, and they used culturation. They deculturized us, and it was a cultural genocide in every way, and even actual genocide. People at the turn of the century, there's a census. I think it was 1725. There was all the way until whenever the doctrine of discovery was put into action by the Roman Catholics.
Yes.
There was estimated 16 million people in this country, on this continent. And at the turn of the century, in the 1800s, the census came through, and there was less than 100,000 indigenous people.
Wow.
So the obvious question, the big question, is what happened to 16 million people?
Exactly.
And so that's what happened. They tried to change us, and so a lot of the celebrations, a lot of the holidays that are celebrated here in this country, they're around our solstice and equinox celebrations, because when the Christians and the Catholics came to us in our territory, they said, "You're going to be Catholic now. You're going to be Christian." And we as a people, we said, "Yeah, okay, but you're not taking our solstice celebrations and our equinox celebrations, because we've been doing those since the beginning of time." And so, you know, the Catholics and the Christians, they're smart. So they said, okay, well, we'll slowly develop these holidays, right? And we'll try to change these people into Christians.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, like, we're all starting to understand that, you know, Jesus wasn't born in December. He wasn't born in the wintertime. We're all starting to understand that rabbits don't lay eggs during Easter, right?
Right.
Well, these are significant celebrations that occur during those equinoxes and solstice. And so that's important that we understand that as Americans, to advocate for our indigenous people, not just Lakota, but all indigenous people of this world, because it happened all over this world.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has. Thank you. Thank you for that explanation. We have a quick track by DJ Legend Brother O coming up. Brother
O. Muted. My Lord, oh my God. Bon killer. All I want. Indeed. Oh, my Lord, oh. Sick bam, je belle ma son. Sick bam, je belle ma tout. Then they pray to come ball and dagger, so I'm moving cloak and dagger. Might see me in a black bandana, in a Lambo with Joey Dagger. Double C to the bucket full of rubber, no shirt, full of condom rubber. Since I started, they carry my matter to be down with the cut my dada.
All right, Brother O.
She better them they pray we go fall and stagger. Are you mad? You know why them man call me Baba? To catch eye, you gonna need one bigger and a taller ladder. Just there dancing dagger. I'm outside killing raga. What's all the higgy hagger? When I come with a hinky yanka, my checky was shining like Bianca. Now the man there wish that they never done that. Now everybody rage out, Stevie Wonder. Niggas doing 8 mile when they head a thunder. Make a nigga wake up right from your slumber. I ain't even green yet, man, I'm still on amber. When you wanna see me fall down, see me under. Sometimes I gotta think hard and I ponder. They can't come close, come here, but they want to. Just stay far, stay there, smoking ganja. 24 hours in enough for gangster. No sleep, now my eyes looking like a panda. With them man, they really wanna pass a pasta. When you pull up, they gonna have to go and call for Jaja. Fuck off with y'all, see me a maga. When your time has come, nigga, don't make it harder. Time taking today, we gon' see tomorrow. Only witness will see it tomorrow. Then they break up all and dagger, so I'm moving cloak and dagger. Might see me in a black bandana, in a Lambo with Joey Dagger. Double C to the bucket full of rubber, no shirt, full of condom rubber. Since I started, they carry my matter, they be down with the cut of my dada. Then they break up all and dagger, so I'm moving cloak and dagger. Might see me in a black bandana, in a Lambo.
Call in family 516-453-9133. Press 1 to join the conversation. Call in. All right. Well, thank you for that, brother. I like that. All right. So, Mr. Moreno, you there?
Yes. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. Speak up if you can. All right. So, I want to ask you,
okay.
I want to go on a little bit. So, I want you to tell the listening audience, how does it feel to be an educator in an American system with all that's going on to your people? How does it feel to be an educator in an American system? I mean, you talking decades and decades and centuries. How does it feel?
So it feels good. Our people, when I say our people and I refer to Lakota or the Ocheti Shakoi, I do refer to all indigenous people of this world because it's valuable. It's valuable. Education is an ancient Lakota custom, and it happened all over this world. It feels great because in 1924, after numerous petitions to the United States government, we were finally made American citizens. And it was only at that time of World War II, because the United States was about to lose that war. And they don't like to bring this up. They don't like to talk about this. But there was 3 languages in the Code Talkers division of the United States military. Ponca was one. There was many more, but 3 main ones were the Ponca, the Navajo or the Dene, and a lot of people don't know this, but Dakota and Lakota were very instrumental on winning the wars of World War II, World War I. And that was because as Indian people of this country, we were finally made American citizens. And it was a big step. It was a big step for indigenous people of this country and the United States government. Because the United States government finally gave the indigenous communities citizenship. And at that time, nobody was volunteering to go to military to do military services because it was a death sentence.
Absolutely.
They were stormed Normandy Beach on D-Day. Hundreds of thousands of Americans died. However, in the Indian communities of this country, they all volunteered. Only the men were able to volunteer at that time, but the numbers that volunteered in the Indian communities was exponential. And still to this day, it's never been heard of for a race of people to volunteer for war, for any war. And if everybody volunteered as the indigenous communities did in this country, there would never have to be a draft again. So, there's a lot of conflict going on today between the United States and other countries. And it is very possible that we can go to war. And if we go to war, they're going to bring the draft back.
Right.
However, if they bring the draft back, guess who's exempt? It's the indigenous communities of this country. And even if we were to go to war and the indigenous communities were exempt, guess who would still volunteer? Because today, the indigenous communities of this country, including the Lakota and the Ocheti Shakoi, they have the highest, excuse me for a sec, the indigenous communities of this country are the most highly decorated combat veterans on the face of the earth. And so let's sink in for a moment. The indigenous communities would be exempt from any draft, but it wouldn't stop us. It wouldn't stop us for fighting for what's right if the cause is there. And we in indigenous communities honor our veterans, and they're looked at as protectors. It's a love-hate relationship though, because we know
Absolutely. Yeah.
what the government has done.
Right. That was my next question.
We love our veterans.
That was my next question. This is very fascinating to me because, it's a very simple question. Why would you fight for an army or fight for a government that has oppressed you? Is it that you guys respect? Is it because you respect the warriors? You respect the people who stand up as part of your culture?
Yes. What a good question. And yes, you're right. We are a culture of protectors and defenders. That's there's societies, there's stories, there's songs talk about these deeds that our young men and women go on when they go to war parties, and it's a very beautiful way of life. It's a way. There's books about it. The warrior way of life. You can pick up any book from Vine Deloria Jr. and he's going to talk about our relationship with the government. And but my focus about education, going back to education, and why I'm very proud to be an educator, is that never has it been done in a public environment, in a public school environment, and I'm very proud of that. It is classified as a world language, but even then, I'm very proud because it means that they're not just speaking Lakota here in my territory of the Oceti Sakowin. It means they're speaking Lakota in other countries right now. Otherwise, why would it pass through the school board, or why would it come through, and whatnot? And my school district is amazing. It's the Rapid City Area School District, and we have a program. We have a standards, and it's called Oceti Sakowin Essential Understandings and Standards. And we have Oceti Sakowin. They call it OSE. Oceti Sakowin Essential OSEUS. So these standards are highly implemented in the school district. And, in Rapid City, there's 90,000 people. 25,000 of them are of Oceti Sakowin descent or indigenous to this country, or indigenous to this country's descendants, right? So this is huge. The high school, the Central High School, has the most Oceti Sakowin descendants population in the entire state. It has more Oceti Sakowin students than South Dakota, all of South Dakota and North Dakota and Minnesota combined.
Wow.
It's an amazing thing that's happened. Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm very proud to be a part of it. It took our people a long time. Like I said, they petitioned, our people petitioned to be American citizens way before 1924. We were petitioning to be American citizens to get human rights and civil rights since the 1800s, and only up until 1924 was it given to us. And to have our language in the public schools is huge, because even though we were citizens of this country since 1924, it was still illegal to be Indian up until 1978.
Wow.
So we were citizens, and we were still getting murdered up until 1978. And even through the 80s and 90s, there was laws still in place saying that, we needed to be Christians. And there was boarding schools that were taking our children away from us and putting them into these schools. And it was all a part of the Dawes Act. And it was called the otherwise known as the Indian Removal Act. And the Indian Removal Act was to take Indians from their residence and put them into Christian schools and this was a quote. This was an actual quote by a person, Henry Dawes of 1876. He says, "Kill the Indian, save the man." And so when our children went to these boarding schools, they were punished for speaking their languages.
So they
and
said,
it happened not just here in our territory, but all over indigenous communities of the country.
So they said,
the continent, because it happened in Canada as well.
So they said, kill the Indian, save the man. Kill the Indian, save the man. All right. So I want to transition very briefly. I want you to explain what really happened at the massacre of Wounded Knee, and what was that really about?
Yes. So there's an amazing movie out there that I want to quote, and I want to shout out to, and it's called Rumble, Indians Who Rocked the World.
It's a movie.
And it's a movie. It's a documentary about Indians who had a big instrumental part in creating the genre of rock and roll, because rock and roll comes from it's bassy, it's rhythmic, it's from the earth, and it comes from indigenous music of this land. And at one point, it originates from blues, right? And blues comes from the south, right? But anyway, Wounded Knee happened in 1863 with the band of Mini Kuju, and they call him Bigfoot, and he was the chief, but that wasn't his real name. His real name was actually Spotted Elk. And he was bringing his band, he was bringing his community to Pine Ridge for protection. Red Cloud sent out word to him and saying, if you wave this white flag, it means you're going to be safe. Or this American flag means you'll be safe, and you'll have safe passage to my reservation, and you'll be protected. And so at the same time, there was a movement, and it was called the Ghost Dance. And it was of a Ponca relative named Wovoka. And he was bringing this Ghost Dance, and he was talking about how this dance and this music is bulletproof, and and the word got around Indian communities, and somehow the U.S. government got a hold of this information, and they sent out the 7th Cavalry. And so on his way to Pine Ridge, he was just about, I believe it's 23 miles northeast of Pine Ridge, and they kind of like they confiscated all of their weapons.
Right.
There was a man who was deaf, who wasn't giving up his weapon. The weapon went off, and then all of a sudden,
guns went off.
They already confiscated all their weapons except for one, and they call it a battle. They call it the battle at Wounded Knee in the newspapers at the time. But how is it going to be a battle
when you confiscated all of your weapons? Yes.
And you just complete, and there was 300 to 500 individuals that were massacred, executed, and then buried in a mass unmarked grave. And they were the reason for it was the Ghost Dance, and that's my opinions of it, and those are my those are what I researched.
So
and,
so they didn't.
You know, don't a lot of the information. You know, don't believe me. Go out there and look this stuff up yourself. The information is right at your fingertips on your cell phone. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's what I tell my students.
Right. Wow. I did read it. I didn't know if you had a different perspective of it. So they didn't want them doing the Ghost Dance. They thought something was going to happen with them doing the Ghost Dance. They didn't want them to do the Ghost Dance.
They actually thought the Ghost Dance was going to make us invincible to the bullets. Isn't that crazy?
The Lord have mercy.
Crazy, right?
Totally crazy.
It was actually a dance that we were going to seek guidance and blessings from our ancestors that have gone on before us.
So 500 people got mowed down because of that.
Yeah, there were survivors though. There was actually many survivors, and most of them were children.
So they grew up
But
until
they did kill. Yeah, they killed over 300
women and children.
Over 300 of this band, and a lot of them too were pregnant. A lot of females were pregnant. And you read these books like Blackout Speaks and any book from Find Deloria Jr. and you'll understand why we were so upset, because at the time, you know, in the 1800s all the way up until 1890s and through 1914, all the way up to when we were made citizens, all the way up to 1978 with the American Indian Freedom of Religion Act. It's been going on, not just here in my territory, but it's been happening all over the world, and it's still going on. And it's all based around one thing: greed, money, power.
Of course.
That's what drives
the whole
this
thing.
madness.
We're gonna have a track. We're gonna have a track right now with DJ Legend, Brother O. Have a track, and we're gonna get back to these questions, Brother O.
Muted.
I'm Georgia Smith, and when I'm in a bad mood, I can make a whole room really feel as bad as I do. I overthink why I'm in a bad mood, why someone put me in a bad mood. Loads of whys and no solutions of how to get myself out of a bad mood, which I'm trying to work on.
The Nigerian nightmare, Kamaru Usman, and when I am in a bad mood, I love to stop and think so that I don't make the situation worse. Give myself time to be able to make a rational and educated decision that will help me through the situation.
When I'm in a bad mood, I tend to be very quiet, and I go to the higher power of my God.
Thank you, Desiree. It led to the Trail of Tears, which led to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and birthed the Black Wall Street.
You wish the wind was falling. You're always searching, never seem to find it. Looking another wrong
Thank you.
places. You can't seem to decide whether you're wrong or you're right, and you're just not sure about your life. Get nervous and anxiety take over your mind, and your trouble just increase in size. When you're feeling mad and you're angry, when you feel like you're lonely, when you feel as sad as you can feel, say how bad could it be? How bad could it be?
Wow.
One knew if you love your parents, and you got way too many scars before me. Search for problems where there isn't any. You're only happy when heartbreaking, but you can't seem to decide whether you're wrong or you're right, and you're just not sure about your life. Get nervous and anxiety take over your mind, and your trouble just increase in size. When you're feeling mad and you're angry, when you feel like you're lonely, when you feel as sad as you can feel, say how bad could it be? How bad could it be? Oh, there's a reason why you walk like you don't have a care in the world. All the times in your life that you have to put up with someone like me. Never should I love you like that. Never should I listen to them, God. Because even when they seem to slide out, Always have to listen to my heart. When wish the sun shine. When the sun shines, wish the rain apart. The wrong way, searching, never seems to find it. Looking in all the wrong places. You can't seem to decide whether you're wrong or you're right, and you're just not sure about your life. Get nervous and anxiety take over your mind, and your trouble just increase in size. When you're feeling mad and you're angry, when you feel like you're lonely, when you feel as sad as you can feel, say how bad could it be? How bad?
Your boy still speaks. Shout out to my brother Burna Boy. You know, when I get upset, disappointed with things, play with the kids, you know what I'm saying? Go play with the kids.
Unmuted.
Go out with the wife. Just switch that energy and just know that, you know, you're too blessed to be stressed.
I like that, brother. I like that.
So, a lot of things that I'm upset with. It's because people just don't know better. You know what I'm saying? People just don't know better, so, you know, we gotta know better.
I like that, brother. I think we have a caller in the queue. Caller 1, who am I speaking with? You on air with Mr. Jeremiah Moreno? Who am I speaking with? Hello? Are you there?
Hello? Okay, good, thank you. My name is Antonia Bass. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you doing,
Hello.
Antonia?
Oh, I feel really blessed to be able to hear your guests that you have. You always manage to come through with people who have some very interesting points that I tell you that are really astronomical. And as for Jeremiah, I forgot his last name.
Moreno.
But I wanted to bring up a few points, if you don't mind, real fast.
Sure.
When you spoke of the indigenous people, it has taken me quite a while because I haven't heard of indigenous people until I returned back up north from down south, a while ago. And there was a young lady who was about late 20s at the time, she's probably mid-30s now, who pointed out, and she and her mother, they wore long skirts and they were part of the church. But she was a graduate of Temple University, but she really spoke on things I haven't even heard of. But first, I just wanted to mention the Pope. As you know, he had visited over here in the North American continent, if I'm not mistaken, primarily in Canada, to offer an apology for what had been done to the people, the separation of their children and their culture, and raise their children. It's bad when people murder people in order to just to have their children to assimilate. You know, that's the sign of like breeding dogs or animals or pets. I'm sure some people will look at it as a comparison. But that was just, thank God, that one religion he wanted to apologize, which we know primarily he's speaking of the Catholic Church. And him being big enough to admit that historical event that really had taken away from many of the Native Americans. I tell you, it's really, really brave of him because, you know, I'm quite sure he got tired of hearing about things that were swept under the rug, and so on and so forth. But right after that, I just wanted to mention this. Have you ever heard of Turtle Island? The young lady told me about this. Turtle Island?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't know anything about it until she mentioned it was something about the people originating from north of, the reason why they called it Island because it had some type of religious, not religious, excuse me, some type of representation for the indigenous people. And it was up near Lake Erie, west north of Philadelphia, on the opposite side diagonally where Erie was. I heard that it's not habitated by people at this present time, but the indigenous people that believe that on the back of the turtle are where they're sort of protected, or it's just an interesting thing about the ride on the back of a turtle. And we know how turtles swim, in the waters that they inhabit. But that area is sort of bordering Ohio and Michigan. And for whatever odd reason, they don't have an actual population on that massive part of the land and the waterways up there in the northwestern or central western part of the United States. And it would be very nice if you could pretty much expound on Turtle Island, which has a very strong representation of the indigenous people, and I guess throughout spiritual, maybe even actual inhabitation at one time, for all we know. Would you please? And it's wonderful to hear you to mention something about the indigenous people, because a lot of people don't even know what indigenous people are amongst the American Indians in the North American state up here, United States there, up there. Would you kindly mention more? And thank you so much, Terris. I appreciate you bringing him on.
No
and
problem.
I appreciate him offering the information.
No
I'm
problem.
ready to leave you alone, but it's wonderful to talk to you.
Thanks, Antonia. Thanks. She's one of the hosts on our show. Did you hear her question, Mr. Moreno?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
You have a couple
So
thoughts?
we'll start from the beginning. The Pope coming to Canada and offering an apology, is a good thing. There's, it's good. However, the most we can't really prove it, but the most powerful person on earth right now is the Pope. The one who has the most income is the Vatican Church. It's the richest organization on earth. So of course he has to come and do some, PR, as I call it, and apologize. It's a good start, yeah, but there's a lot more that needs to come after that. And the reason, nobody's really talking about this is, why did he do that? It's because our indigenous people up there are burning down churches because they find mass graves of our indigenous children at their churches. And it's going to start happening all over the place, all over the planet, because that's what they did. They murdered children at these places. And so, of course, he has to have an official apology in front of the cameras and, do good for public relations. Yeah, he has to. And it's a good start, but there's a lot more to do. There's a lot of work that has to be done still. And I appreciate the good start, but, when we talk about what has happened in the boarding schools and the residential schools of the United States and Canada, and how the children were being mistreated just for speaking their own language, for growing their hair long, for being who they are as an identity. How can you tell a child that you don't belong here?
Exactly.
It just, so, and then moving on, we'll move on, we'll transition to the Turtle Island. It's a beautiful concept that has been, it moves throughout indigenous country, not just here in the North America, but in South America as well. and there's even an alliance, an ancient trade federation between indigenous tribes of South America and the indigenous tribes of North America that's over 200,000 years old. And the way these scientists, put carbon dating on things, it's not the truth. You can go into a radiocarbon dating organization and you can say, I want something from this date, at least 10,000 years. Is that okay? And they'll do that, but they don't know the actual truth. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done in all aspects of reconciling with each other as human beings of this world, because it didn't just happen here in North America and South America. It happened all over the world with this one simple doctrine of discovery. These simple voids. It translates from Latin. I think it's like veritalis, which means void, which means if these lands are not occupied by Catholic or those with Christian faith, then that means that these lands are not occupied at all. So it gave the green light to go ahead and just at a mass rate just completely destroy tribes all over this world. There's some tribes that don't even have one single person left or any language. It's terrible. There is hope, and there's a huge movement. Look at what's happening here in my territory. Our language is in the public school system. It's a beautiful thing, and all around my reservation, you can take classes and in Hawaii too, and in New Zealand, their immersion programs are just phenomenal, and there's a huge movement of these beautiful languages being preserved. I don't like to use the word revitalized, because it makes it sound like we weren't around anymore.
Exactly.
Like it was gone. But they've been here, and they're going to stay here. And I'm a part of it. I'm a part of making sure that happens for my children and my grandchildren and so on.
Generations. Thank you, Mr. Moreno. Thank you for that. Antonio Batts, thank you for that question. She's one of the hosts on our shows. I don't know if she's still there.
Yes, that was a good,
but she's an elder.
Question. Thank you.
Yes, she's an elder statesman here on this network. We have another caller in the queue. Caller 2, who am I speaking with? You're on the Know Your Right show. I have Mr. Moreno, Jeremiah Moreno on from the Lakota tribe. Who am I speaking with?
Hey, you speaking with your campaign manager. How you doing tonight, Mr. Terris Strength, Mr. Hall of Fame nominated for the class of 2022. How you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing great, Hooney. How are you doing this evening?
Excellent, excellent. Loving what you always continue to bring. How you doing, special honor guest? I appreciate the work that you're putting in. And
he's putting in work, for sure.
I want to speak on behalf. It's not so much a question, but more like a statement. Now, I normally pride myself, and I normally speak a lot on my grandfather's side from the land of Nova, but I also have Native American traits right here through my mother, the bare knuckle pride fighter, okay, who links back to a Native American tribe, the Black Hawks, who later on mixed with the Cherokees, and even myself was born on a reservation called Chapano, Northeast North Carolina. I said all that to say this. When you look at us as a whole, the Native Americans, the people who's not just indigenous to over here in America, but this entire planet. And the good thing about it was being able to hear certain things that you are sharing with us, the listening audience tonight, and many people who have been classified as African Americans are really Native Americans as well. Mm-hmm. But that was part of why, and this is the key point right now, why they don't want critical race theory being taught in the public schools, because it's exposure. And the truth of the matter is, not the good Europeans, but the white power structure don't want that taught, is because it's going to shine a spotlight to a lot of the hideous acts that they have done and never stopped doing and continue to do. You see? So with what you're sharing, I definitely appreciate you. for doing what you're doing, because you are a classic example of why they don't want and they keep debunking critical race theory. So keep sharing what you're sharing. I appreciate you coming up on the show tonight, sir. Okay?
Beautiful statement. Thank you for that. Thank you for those compliments as well. Yeah, the critical race theory is so it was mandatory to have our Ocheki Shakoni Essential Understanding Standards in South Dakota. But recently, last year of September 13th, they passed it where it's not mandatory in South Dakota. However, it was decided by the Rapid City Area Schools Districts Board that it will be implemented into the school systems. And so I'm very proud to have the Ocheki Shakoni Essential Understanding Standards, and that can be brought up on any laptop, any cell phone, anywhere. I don't know how I can get that just like spelled out. Ocheki Shakoni Essential Understanding Standards, and you look at these standards and how they were trying to get the mandate out of South Dakota. Well, a lot of these things that they talk about, a powwow, for instance. If you ever go into an American Indian community or indigenous community, you're going to know what a powwow is. And when you go to these powwows, they're beautiful things. You know, they dance, they sing, they have fun, there's food. It's a beautiful thing. They want to take those out. They want to take those, and you look at a buffalo. You know, at one time there was over 160 million buffalo on this continent, wiped out completely, down to just a few hundred. And today, you know, that was our main food source as people of the plains. And in order to try to annihilate us, to extinguish us from these lands so that they can take over and come in for a gold rush, they wiped out the buffalo completely for just its hide. Now, when we kill a buffalo as Ocheki Shakoni people, we use every piece of the buffalo, and every piece, and even when we hunt it, it's you know, it's a very sacred time. My son, you know, he was a part of a traditional Lakota buffalo harvest, and it was beautiful. They sang him songs, and we went out to do this, and we used every portion of the buffalo, every part we used, and the food was just delicious, and it was a ceremony, and when the buffalo went down, the elders talked about it. They said, look, they're having their own funeral for our relatives. And then when they left and it was just the buffalo and us, there was these beautiful songs sang to the buffalo spirit and to send him home to our ancestors, because, you know, we're relatives. There's a whole creation story about it. And it's a really beautiful story. And all of this is in our Ocheki Shakoni Essential Understanding Standards. Wow. Why would you not want to teach that to your children? You know what I mean?
Yes.
The reason for it is the critical race theory, because they want to still wipe out. They want to still get rid of us. Because we actually have one of the second largest reservation land mass here in the United States, and they found that the soil is nutritious. They put us on the most deserted land, and now they want to take that from us as well.
We have another,
and it's sitting on top of the most largest, cleanest aquifer on the face of the earth.
Yes.
Because they're going to go to war soon over water.
Yes.
Nobody's talking about this.
Wow. I guess Hooney is gone. I guess he's gone. I want to thank him for calling in. He's another one of our hosts, award-winning hosts here on O&E. I think we have another track next by DJ Legend, Brother O. Brother, what do you have for us?
Muted.
Ebony Dawn Starks. Thanks for calling in. Brother O. Thank you for that track. Thank you for that track. So we have another caller in the queue, caller 3. Who am I speaking with? You on the Know Your Right show? I have Lakota Jeremiah Moreno. Who am I speaking with?
Hi, Terris. It's Jerry Petito, sweetie.
How are you doing, Jersey Jewel?
I'm doing great. Before I talk to your guest, because I have so much to say to him, I want to get something incredibly important out of the way right now.
Okay.
Are you sitting down?
Yes, I am.
Well, I want to congratulate you, International Internet Radio Hall of Fame broadcasting nominee, Terris Strength, my friend, my co-host here. I love you on your WBNN all-time connection record with your 44th all-time, your 4th consecutive with the historic Darlene Lawrence Championship, honoring our late Hall of Famer. Congratulations to you and your guests for making this happen tonight.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Mr. Moreno. Thank you. I appreciate you, Jerry. You know that.